In the year of our blessed Lord, 1503, there lay a village named Whispering Pines, set upon the land where trees loomed like skeletal sentinels guarding an ancient curse. Ringed by dense woodlands of perpetual dusk, it was known throughout the countryside that no man nor beast who wandered therein after the sun fell past the hills ever returned. For there, brooding amongst the shadowy trees, dwelt the devil's Harbinger, a monstrous entity so heinous that his name was uttered only in whispers, lest he be drawn to the speaker. It is said the beast that lurketh, a figure wrought of hellfire and torment, was created by Satan himself to capture the unwary souls of the lost and damned. Many a traveler had ventured into the woods, lured by foolish curiosity or by the harsh misfortune of a wrong path. Yet the tales persisted, spreading fear in the hearts of all who heard them. The legend claimed that the devil's Harbinger was bound to the forest, trapped by dark magics to roam within its bounds for eternity. His touch could summon the trees to life, to twist and snatch any who dared trespass, trapping their souls within bark and branch. Whispers told of his eyes, a piercing, unholy blue, gleaming like sapphires drenched in blood. Of his fingers, long and thin, like the clawed limbs of elder oaks, and of his fangs, tentacled jaws sharper than any blade. Some said he could vanish in a blink, reappearing wherever shadows fell. One fateful autumn eve, a man named Alaric, a rugged wanderer known for his disregard of fables, stumbled into the edge of Whispering Pines. The villagers warned him, begging him to skirt around the forest, but he merely laughed, brushing off their pleas as idle superstition. With a stubborn heart, he strode into the shadows, whistling a tune that soon died upon the chill wind. Deeper he went, and the forest seemed to shift around him, as though alive, whispering his name from branch to branch. The trees creaked and groaned, closing in, hemming him into a narrow path that twisted and turned until he was hopelessly lost. Then, from the darkness, a pair of glowing blue eyes appeared. Alaric felt his blood turn to ice. Those eyes bore into him, shimmering with venom and hunger. He stumbled back, his hand reaching for the dagger at his side, but before he could draw it, the Harbinger stepped forward. In a blur of motion, he raised his branch-like fingers, jagged and sharp, glinting under the marauding light. With a slow, hypnotizing motion, the Harbinger's fingers held Alaric in place. Alaric screamed, feeling himself torn from his body, his essence trapped, drawn into the Harbinger's glowing eyes. When the morrow came, the remains of Alaric were found, torn and rent asunder, the signs of his terrible end painted in blood across the soil. In sooth, 'twas a grievous matter, and the village lay heavy with sorrow, for the devil's Harbinger, a vile beast born of darkness, did oft haunt the folk with wretched cruelty, stealing away their kin by day or night. But lo, amidst their lament, two hunters, noble James and steadfast Alexander, rose forth from the throng, and with them Sarah, a guide of uncommon skill and courage. In solemn voice they did swear before all gathered to track this fell creature to its lair and put an end, once and for all. That day they didst venture forth into the thickened woods, fair Sarah leading the way. Long had the spectre of the devil's Harbinger haunted these lands, a blight upon them for many a year, leaving none who dared pursue it in life's breath. As they did wind upon the twisted path, Sarah, her trembling fingers clutching a crucifix, did recount unto Alexander the foul tales of this beast's malefic deeds. Low was her voice, laden with dread, as she spake of blackened hearts and stolen souls, of veins emptied and bodies left hollow as shells. Yet as her voice did linger upon these vile words, a cry split the night air, a wretched sound, swift and guttural, as though wrung from the depths of some hellish pit. They turned their gaze upon James, but alas, what horror was this? His body, suspended by an unseen force, writhed as his blood, rich and red, poured forth in misted vapors. His lifeless form, emptied as a forgotten tomb, did fall unto the earth. Sarah gasped, clutching her crucifix with fervor, as Alexander raised his musket and stepped forth.
Vade retro Satana, vade retro Satana, vade retro Satana.
But alas, mercy was naught this night. As Sarah's trembling voice rose in Latin chant, her eyes wide in terror, A gnarled branch, sharp as death's scythe, did pierce her skull, silencing her mid-verse, the prayer dead upon her lips. Then did the devil's harbinger emerge, an ominous figure cloaked in shadows dark, clutching within one knotted hand a severed head, its blood slow dripping upon the roots below. Alexander's heart beat fierce as he beheld that face of skull and bone, for in its ghastly visage he did recognize his own. The creature's eyes burned with mirthless fire as it held the head aloft, its voice hollow and eternal as it didst spoke.
Thou wert dead the moment thou set foot here, and in mine hand I clasped the ghastly relic of thy skull. For thou hast been dead at mine hand before,